If you want to feel more calm, confident, and connected in your life, the Love Your Real Life membership is for you. Members love the simple daily challenges that help create small, consistent actions that lead to the change that they want. And then the live sessions that are throughout the month that leave them feeling grounded, relaxed, and supported. There's a link in the show notes to join. I would love to see you inside of this membership. Welcome to the Love Your Real Life podcast. I'm Faith Lauterbach, and this is a space to help you heal, rebuild, and create a life you truly love, even if it looks different than you imagined. Each week, I'll be sharing tools, encouragement, and real conversations about what it means to move forward after betrayal, heartbreak, or simply life not going as planned. I am honored to walk alongside you and help you love your real life. All right. Well, hello and welcome back to the show. I'm Faith, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Today's conversation is one that I think is so important and also something that can feel really overwhelming for a lot of people. We are talking about money, and not just in a practical numbers focused way, but our relationship with money, the thoughts, the patterns, the emotions, and the experiences that shape how we show up with it. Money isn't just about what's in your bank account, it's about how you feel in your life. So, I'm excited to bring in someone who can support this conversation in a deeper way. Today, I'm joined by Alison, who's a financial coach, and she helps people figure out their money in all the ways, how it affects our life holistically. So I'm really excited for you to hear her perspective because this conversation isn't about doing things perfectly. All right. So a little bit about Alison. Alison is a financial coach who believes money doesn't have to feel overwhelming or confusing. She works with individuals and families who want to feel more confident and intentional with their finances. Her approach is simple, practical, and encouraging, helping you to create a plan that fits in your real life. Whether you're working on budgeting, paying off debt, or just trying to feel more in control, Alison walks alongside her clients every step of the way. She works with individuals locally and across the country through Zoom. So, Allison, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Faith. I'm honored to be here.
You are welcome. Okay, I'm really excited about this conversation because I know this is something that so many people struggle with, but don't always have a way to talk about it that feels safe. For some reason, money is one of those topics that feels kind of scary. So, I would love to start with you. Can you share a little bit about your own story and how this work around finances became important to you?
Yes. Several years ago, like many people, my husband and I found ourselves in debt without a clear plan for our money. So, 6 years ago, we decided to attend a 9-week course called Financial Peace University. You may have heard of it or maybe even taken the course. And that's really where things started to change for us. We made the decision to get intentional with our finances, and over time, we paid off over $66,000 in debt in less than 2 years. But more than that, it sparked something in me. I became passionate about helping others experience that same kind of clarity and progress. I started by teaching Financial Peace University, first in our home and then on Zoom. And through that, I realized I wanted to work more closely with people and help them apply these principles to their own lives. So I became a financial coach. And since then, I've had the opportunity to walk alongside individuals and families as they create budgets, pay off debt, build emergency funds, and work toward bigger goals. What I love most is helping people feel less overwhelmed and more confident with their money.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I was just really amazed to hear that you paid off $66,000 of debt in 2 years. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate.
It's a lot of hard work, but was well worth it in the end. So,
I bet. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing that and being so open. I know that can be kind of scary sometimes to share, so I appreciate you sharing that with us. How is a healthy relationship with money about more than just the numbers?
well, with money, we often think we need more information, but most money struggles are emotional and behavioral, not mathematical. Money is really 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. A healthy relationship with money is about so much more than numbers. It's about your mindset, habits, and emotions. The numbers, your budget, income, debt are just the surface. What really drives your financial life is how you think about money and how you feel when you spend it and the patterns you've built over time. For example, two people can have the exact same income and expenses, but one feels stressed and out of control, while the other may feel confident and at peace. The difference isn't the math, it's their relationship with money. A healthy relationship with money is about feeling connected to what's going on instead of avoiding it or feeling overwhelmed. It's making spending choices that reflect what actually matters to you, not just reacting in the moment. And it's having a sense of confidence that you can handle your money even if you're still learning along the way.
Yeah. I know when I do my holistic goals workshop and we talk about finances as part of that, and that's really the piece that I talk about is the way you spend money, does that support your values? And so I think that's so true when we look at like people's money. And I love that example of people having the same amount of finances, but completely different experiences behind that. Um, okay. Well, what are some common money beliefs that you see that really hold people back?
Some of the biggest things that hold people back with money aren't their income or math skills, it's the beliefs they picked up over time. One is, I'm just that bad with money. And that one can keep people really stuck because when you believe it's just who you are, you stop trying to change it. Another big one is, I don't make enough to get ahead. And while income does matter, that belief often leads people to avoid their finances instead of taking small steps forward. I also hear, I'll figure it out later, which usually turns into procrastination and more stress down the road. A lot of people think budgeting is restrictive, like it's punishment, when really it's just a way to give your money direction and create more clarity. And then there's the all or nothing thinking. If you can't do it perfectly, why try? And that's a big one because progress with money really comes from consistency, not perfection.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I can see how that would be, there's these correlations too with health and fitness and when I'm working with people. It's those thoughts that we feel like are true, but are really holding us back from experiencing life the way we really want to be. So I love those frames. Okay. I think that avoidance is probably an overwhelm can be common things that people feel. So when someone feels that way, if they feel overwhelmed or avoidant, that kind of I'll figure it out later, um, where would you gently invite them to start?
if you're feeling overwhelmed or avoidant with money, the goal isn't to fix everything at once. It's just to take one small step toward awareness. I'd say if you're not sure where to start, just start with something really simple. Maybe it's just looking at your numbers. Open your bank account, see what's there. No judgment, no trying to fix anything. Just awareness is a big first step. Then pick one small action. Maybe you track your spending for a few days, or you write down your bills, or set aside a small amount. It doesn't have to be anything big because simple is actually better. I also recommend creating a short weekly check in. Even 10 minutes once a week can make a huge difference in helping you stay aware and consistent. And really just try to stay curious with your money instead of being hard on yourself. Just focus on understanding what's going on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that where you said no judgment, being able to release that So important and staying curious. Those are really great tips for anybody that's starting to work on this. So, how can someone start to notice their own money patterns without judgment? So, we talked about that. Like, any advice or tips on how to remove that judgment?
I would say first, just observe it before you try to change anything. Spend a week noticing where your money is going. No rules, no restriction, just awareness. And then start looking for patterns. You might ask yourself, when do I tend to spend more or what's actually going on in these moments? Sometimes it's tied to stress or a certain routine. And how you talk to yourself matters here. Shifting from that was bad to that's interesting can make a lot easier to stay open and keep going. And then just remembering your spending isn't only about numbers. It's often connected to what's going on in your life, your stress, your habits. And understanding that is where real change starts. Because once you have that awareness, you can start making more intentional decisions.
Mm. Yeah, that intentionality, that's so important, in everything, but especially here in finances too. And I love that taking away thinking something's bad to just being curious and thinking, "Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting that I spent that. That's interesting that I went to the coffee shop every day last week," or whatever it may be. So, yeah, that's a really great, just easy, simple shift in the way we're thinking. All right. So, what are 2 to 3 simple things that someone can start doing this week to feel more in control of their finances?
Yeah, I always like to bring it back to a few things that are practical and doable. First, check your accounts, even if you've been avoiding it. I would say log in, look at your balances, glance at your recent transactions. That awareness alone can help you start to feel a little more in control. Then make a simple plan for your next paycheck. Nothing complicated, just decide ahead of time where your money is going, bills, spending, savings. It doesn't have to be perfect, just intentional. And even tracking your spending for a few days can be helpful. You can write it down or use a budgeting app. It just helps you see what's actually happening instead of guessing. None of these are big, overwhelming changes, but they shift you from reacting to your money to being intentional with it. And that's where you start to feel that sense of control come back.
Yeah, I like that shift from reacting to intentional. Yeah,
Mhm.
love that. So, how can someone create a financial routine that feels supportive instead of restrictive? You had said that earlier that a lot of times people feel like having a budget's restrictive. Is there a good way to let go of that?
Yeah, a financial routine that feels restrictive um, when it's rigid, overwhelming, or disconnected from your real life. It feels supportive when it's simple, flexible, and built around you. So I would say keep it small and realistic. Instead of overhauling everything, start with something like 10 to 15 minutes a week and do a money check in. Or tie it to something that you already do. Pair it with a routine you enjoy Sunday coffee, a quiet morning, or after the kids go to bed, something that feels natural and not forced. And then focus on clarity, not control. The goal isn't to micromanage every dollar, it's to stay aware and intentional. And then life isn't the same every week, so give yourself room to adjust. I think that's a big one. And then make it more enjoyable. Maybe light a candle, grab a drink you like, sit somewhere comfortable. Small things can shift your mindset. The goal is to create a rhythm with your money that feels like support, not something you have to resist, but something that actually helps you feel more steady and in control.
Yeah. I like that. It reminds me a little bit about when somebody is working with me and wanting to like start a workout routine or something. It's when they know their why and they know it's not just, oh, it's something else I have to do, but they know it has a deeper why. I wanna be able to run around with my kids or my grandkids. I don't want my joints to hurt. Kind of the same thing, like, when you know why this is important to you, like, what is the purpose, you're gonna feel more connected to it, and it's gonna feel more intentional. So I love that piece, and then also you see, like that habit stacking, pairing it with something that you're already doing because one of the hardest things when you're starting a new habit is just remembering to do it. So I love that tip there. Thanks, Allison.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say to someone who feels like they've messed up financially?
I would say first, you're not alone and you're not the only person who's made financial mistakes. Most people have, and they just don't talk about it. But more importantly, messing up with money doesn't define you. What really matters is what you do next. First, just acknowledge what happened, but don't stay stuck there. Ignoring it keeps you stuck, but so does being hard on yourself. Then get clear on what happened. Look at the numbers so you know what you're working with. A lot of times, that clarity alone can take away some of the fear. From there, just take one step forward. You don't have to have a full plan today, just one action that moves you in a better direction. Because this kind of moment doesn't disqualify you, it can actually be the point where things start to shift.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that you're not alone. I think that's so important because it can be really easy when we feel shameful about something to feel like I'm the only one that's ever been this careless or I'm the only one who's ever done this mistake. And there's just, it's like that further keeps you wanting to keep it secret and then the shame piles up. So I love that reframe of you are not alone. Yes. So we talked about how, it's when your values, the way you spend your money matches your values, that feels really good. How can someone align their spending with their values, with what matters to them?
Aligning your spending with what matters starts with getting honest about what does matter to you, not what you think should matter to you. I think it really
Yeah.
starts with getting clear on what actually matters to you. Like, what do you want your life to feel like? Are you working toward less stress, more time, more experiences, more security? Just having that clarity makes a big difference. Then you can look at your current spending and just compare. Does this line up with those priorities? And not in a guilt way, just an awareness way. From there, it's about making small shifts. You can start redirecting money toward what matters and a little away from what doesn't. And those small changes can add up. I always tell people give yourself permission to spend on what you value. This isn't about spending less just for the sake of it, it's about spending on purpose. And then just to check in regularly because your priorities can change over time and your spending can shift with those priorities. When those two things start to line up, money feels a lot less stressful and a lot more meaningful.
Yeah, that's so true. I think that is like, I think there's an example came to my mind of if somebody's wanting to eat at home and shift and eat a little bit healthier and they'll do this kind of look back at their what they've spent in the week and they see McDonald's and fast food restaurants, every day or, every other day. I think that could be a good example of how, oh, what I want to be doing is not matching with how I'm spending my money. And then there's probably guilt that goes into that and then avoidance on top of that. So yeah, and I loved how you said figure out what actually matters to you, not what you think should matter. Yes.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, and I know we talk about that in my membership. It's figuring out first how do you want to feel and then moving from that. So I love that you said that. Like how do you want to feel? How do you want your life to feel? How do you want to feel around money and build from there? That's such a great tip and reframe. Okay. So, our last question, and then we're going to talk a little bit about if somebody's looking for more help, how you can help them. But if someone listening could take one step toward a healthier relationship with money, what would you want that to be?
If you could take just one step, it would be this: start paying attention to your money without avoiding it. That might look like checking in with your money on a regular basis, logging into your bank account, noticing where your money is going, and maybe setting aside a few minutes once a week for a quick check in. And honestly, one of the most important tools you can have is a simple budget. It really is the foundation of your finances. There are great tools out there, many budgeting apps like Every Dollar. On Every Dollar, there's a free version, a paid version if you want it to connect to your bank account and automatically tracks transactions. And I know there's many other apps available too. At the end of the day, your budget is what helps you direct your money toward what matters to you. It's not about your age or income. It's something that anyone can benefit from. It just gives you clarity and direction with your money. You don't have to have everything perfect. It's about shifting from avoidance to awareness. Because once you're aware, you can make intentional choices, and that's where a healthy relationship with money really begins. And if you're feeling like I understand this, but I'm not sure how to apply it to my situation, that's where coaching can come in. I help people take everything we just talked about and turn it into a plan that actually fits their real life. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just need to take that next step with clarity.
Yes. I love that. I love creating a plan that supports your real life and to help you do what you want to do. Well, Allison, tell us more about how someone could work with you if they're interested in diving a little bit deeper into getting their own budget, getting their own plan.
Yeah. Well, first of all, my business is called Creative Align Financial Coaching, and you can find it on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm on a couple social pages. And then I offer a financial coaching foundations package, which is a great place to start. It includes 2 coaching sessions designed to help you see if coaching is the right fit for you. During that time, we'll look at your full financial picture and create a plan that feels clear and doable for your life. From there, we focus on one step at a time so you're not overwhelmed, but moving forward. And you'll walk away with clarity, encouragement, and the motivation to keep going, knowing you have a plan and support along the way. And I think Faith will have the scheduling link in the show notes.
Yes.
And then I also host monthly workshops. So this is a wonderful way to get more support. My next monthly budget workshop will be May 4th at 7 o'clock Central Time. And I'd love to have you join me for that as well. And we'll also have a link for that in the show notes. So I would love to help anyone who needs a little encouragement or motivation and just help along the way with their budget or whatever aspect of life they find themselves in, whether that's in debt or wanting to build an emergency fund or pay for kids college, wherever they're at, I can help them in this
Yeah,
situation. So
that sounds so great. And Allison, let me know if I'm remembering this right. In your budgeting workshops that you do every month, you also have another topic each month. Is that right?
I do, yeah. So May 4th will be, the emergency fund, so building your emergency fund. So that will be in addition to some budgeting things we'll talk about. So every month we talk about the budget and kind of look at the last month with reflection and then what our priorities are going forward. And then also we have another subject that we spend a little time on, but May will be the emergency fund.
Awesome. That sounds like what I bet would be so helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else you wanna to say before we close out today's episode?
I don't think so. It's great to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the podcast, and I love what you're doing, Faith. You're doing a good work.
Oh, thank you, Allison. Thank you, and thank you for being here and spending this time. So, as we close today, I just want to remind you your relationship with money is something you can change. Maybe not overnight, definitely it doesn't have to be perfect, but intentionally. You don't have to approach it from pressure or fear. You can begin to approach it with awareness, with compassion, and with support. Because this isn't just about money, it's about how you feel in your life. It's about creating stability, trust, and alignment in a really important area, something that affects all other areas. And you're allowed to take this one step at a time. So I'm really grateful that you were here for this conversation, Allison, and everybody that's listening. I look forward to hearing more and talking to you all next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Love Your Real Life podcast. I hope that today's episode was just what you needed. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking for more support, check out the show notes for how to connect. Remember, no matter what your story holds, you are worthy of living a life that you love. Talk to you soon.